Hello and welcome to Let's Get Distracted, episode 29. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I have a special guest with me tonight that's going to tell you the one thing you should do whether you're diagnosed with cancer or somebody you know is diagnosed with cancer. But first, I'm Michelle Burke coming to you live from Annapolis, Maryland. Many of you know that after 30 years in the corporate tax world, I went out on my own in January and created Health and Taxes. Unfortunately, there are only two things certain in life, death and taxes. But I'm here to help you flip that to Health and Taxes. I come to you live every Sunday night at 7:30 Eastern and bring a guest along to talk about something health related to educate you, to get you distracted from what's going on in the news, and to educate you about how you can live your best life. So tonight, I want to welcome Eileen Giovia. Welcome.
Thank you.
So nice to have you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. I'm glad we finally made it work.
Yes, me too. Me too. So Eileen says, "Don't pity me." She's always known as a woman with a snarky sense of humor. She was taken aback with the pity she received when she was diagnosed with breast cancer 7 years ago. She read, "Get well soon," one too many times. Don't get her wrong. She was extremely grateful for those who reached out, but it wasn't them. It was two things that she really couldn't accept. First, there were so little appropriate greeting cards available for the occasion. Second, people were uncomfortable with the word cancer and truly did not know what to say. I can relate to that. She's always been a writer and came from a family of writers. So while she was recovering, she began creating humorous and yet caring greeting cards for those affected by cancer. Because after all, she cracks herself up and she needs a laugh. She thinks she's hilarious. I think she's pretty funny too. So forward 3 years after her diagnosis, her brother was diagnosed with an incurable brain cancer. Suddenly, the reason for her journey became clear. Because of her experience, she was able to give her brother what he needed, what he wanted in those few short months that he had left. Of course, she couldn't cure his cancer, but she was able to teach him empowerment. And she still laughs at the numerous memories of all the times she made him laugh out loud. The universe spoke loudly. She was called to help others affected by cancer to be empowered and to learn to laugh again. She began speaking publicly and working with individuals. Then COVID hit, and she was no longer able to walk freely into an oncology or surgical practice to meet with families. She then extended her greeting cards to include gifts and apparel to help people smile. Initially, she focused on those affected by cancer, but it was her husband who said, "It's 2020. Everybody needs help to make them smile." And I couldn't agree more. So Eileen, thanks for being here tonight. And as we mentioned in your bio, you were diagnosed with breast cancer 7 years ago. Tell us about your journey.
I was very, very surprised. And I think it's a process, right? I think it's a process you go through of grieving. It's the shock that this really isn't happening. And then it's the survival mode. And then lastly, the thriving that takes place, right? Hopefully. And I believe attitude is so very important. So many people upon my diagnosis, it was hard, very hard telling people. My husband was a huge, huge help in that, and breaking the news to our kids. My son was in his first year of college. My daughter was a sophomore in high school. Neighbors, friends, family. And, the first time people saw me, it was, "I am so sorry." You're sorry.
What do you have to be sorry for?
Right. And immediately people started treating me differently. Oh, what do you need? And, I don't know, and it's that response of, no, I don't need anything. I'm fine. I wasn't fine and I needed a lot of things, but I didn't need homework. Right. So I thought, you can't think straight. You're thinking of so many different things. I was so very fortunate. So many people don't have the support system I had. I was so fortunate and always recognized that I had family and friends who were ready, willing, and able to help. But even those closest to me didn't know what to say, and they didn't know what to do. A dear friend of mine thought I was going to read cancer magazines every month. I was like, oh my God, I was terrified. And this is someone who knows me really well, where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to sit here and read about cancer all month. Hence the greeting cards. And, and it occurred to me, people really don't know what to say and they don't know what to do. And it's okay to tell them what it is that you need. Maybe I just need you to, come over and sit with me. We don't have to talk. We could binge watch, Grey's Anatomy, right? Or a comedy. Maybe, maybe I need a kick in the butt to like, hey, stop feeling sorry for yourself, right? Everybody's journey is different. And so I started creating greeting cards. I was supposed to have, my journey became a little bit different because I was initially supposed to have a lumpectomy and then radiation. And then when they did my lumpectomy, thankfully, my surgeon took additional tissue samples. And at my follow-up, he said, well, we have to talk about plan B. And I was like, oh no, we don't have a plan B. Like, let's go. Let's be done. And he said there was too much of it. He said, so he didn't feel that he got a good margin. And I needed a mastectomy. So more shock, more grieving, lots of research, lots of opinions, doctor appointments, second opinions, third opinions, and making the difficult decision to have a bilateral mastectomy, even though my left breast was okay. So I decided, nope, not doing this again. Yes. one stop shopping. Here we go. So that's what I did. That spring, I had a bilateral mastectomy. And even right up until being, wheeled to the OR, right? You have to laugh at these things that happen. So they had inserted a needle into my breast and they covered it with a styrofoam cup. I was like, wow. Like, that's not even recyclable. Is this the best we can come up with as a styrofoam cup?
Oh my goodness. So not what you would expect. Yeah.
No. So nothing surgical about it. I was like, okay, and I have pictures to prove it. But that's where my journey was at. And then that was, recovered. And then that was followed by reconstruction a few months later. And I don't know that I would do that again. It is what it is. It doesn't make me, I don't feel less of a woman. I don't feel less sexual. No, it is what it is. I'm proud of my scars, right? And then when my brother got sick, I was like, the skies opened up because I understood, because it was me who was asking, initially comparing his cancer to my cancer. I was like, stop. They're totally unrelated. But he did have questions and I gave him answers.
So thank you for sharing your story. It takes a lot of courage to share your story and a lot of courage to go through all that, but thank you for sharing your story. There was a lot of things you said in there that I would like to touch on. So the first thing you said is, you didn't detect it through a self-exam, that you actually, it was through your annual exam. So tell us a little bit about the importance of an annual exam.
So every October, because it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so it was easy to remember, at the time, actually, the protocol was you have your baseline mammogram at 30, right? And then you don't go again for 5 years. So that was the protocol I was on because of my age. And I had my annual annual mammogram every October, and it was at the one in 2013 that they said, something doesn't look right. Come on back. Let's do this again. So we did, and they determined I had very early breast cancer. So, stage 1, thankfully. But what would it have been had I not gotten my annual mammogram? Because yes, I did monthly exams, and I was very aware. Any, time I felt anything, unusual, I would, have my husband concur. Or my sister-in-law had stage 3 breast cancer at a very young age. Thankfully, that was 13 years ago. As she's alive and well and does a lot of good for breast cancer patients. And I'm privileged to know her. But what if I did not have my mammogram, right? Because I had no lumps, I had no pain, I had no discomfort, I had nothing.
Yeah, so so important, and such a great reminder that everybody should go and have those mammograms done. And even though the suggested age is, the baseline's 40 right now.
Now the baseline is 40. I don't necessarily agree with that, but they're not asking my opinion.
Yeah, because I just heard statistically 10% of women will have breast cancer in their lifetime, whether that's young or late stages, whenever. So, it doesn't hurt to get in the habit of doing it even earlier.
Right.
So Jan is saying hello. So hello, Jan. Thanks for joining us. So tell us a little more about, your number one thing is really smiling and making people laugh and being happy. So just expand on that a little more. You said that everyone has a role to play. So whether it's family and friends being scared about it, laughter is always the best medicine, right?
Absolutely. So, there's a lot of studies out there that have proven that the benefits of laughter, right? It decreases your blood pressure. It decreases pain. It improves your immune system. There's so many benefits to laughter. So if you have to go on this journey, and so many are people, right? Everybody knows somebody, right? It's just sadly the way it is. If you have to go on this journey, you can go through it and be miserable, and maybe not have such a good outcome because you're not thinking positively, right? And you're putting all this energy out into the universe that maybe isn't the best thing for you. Or you can smile and get through it and laugh at the ridiculousness of it, such as a styrofoam cup, right? How can you not laugh at that? Some people would be like, oh my gosh, I would have spoke to your manager. Who put the stuff here? I was gone. I was rolling. I was like, okay, like, here we are. I was like, Joe, you gotta get a picture of this. Right. I was like, you got to get a picture of this, like, because no one would believe it. So yeah, it is what it is. Life happens, and whether it's cancer or illness or financial, there's so many things. 2020, we could name 1,000 of them, right? Of things that could really bring people down, or you can roll with the punches.
Yeah, I'm such a big believer in just having a positive outlook. I mean, it is proven, like you said, through science, that just being more positive, and yet it's so hard. So all of you out there wondering how you can help the people around you, just help them stay positive. Yes, you want to educate them, but help them stay positive, make them laugh, do the things that you treat them the way you normally treat them. Continue treating them the same as you had treated them before. I think those are some really good tips.
And for those who are the patients closest to it, it's okay to say what you really need. There's some people who are avid athletes, or maybe they're used to walking 5 or 10 miles a day, whatever, right? It's okay to say, damn it, I'm going on my walk. you know, leave me alone. Like, it's okay. Your limits. Everything does not have to stop because, you've been diagnosed with something, right? Um, and to show that, when my brother was diagnosed, shut down immediately. Came home from the doctor and started throwing things away, projects and yard work and what have you that he was working on, because his answer was, well, I'm not going to be here to finish that.
Oh, and I love your message about empowerment. So yeah, continue with that.
Yes. And I think, okay, John McCain had the same cancer, was a glioblastoma, same brain tumor that my brother had, was in his 80s and lived for 3 years. My brother lived for 6 months. Would my brother's cancer have gone away? Absolutely not. But could he have lived longer? Maybe. Did he want to? No, he didn't. It was his journey, and that's okay. And that's another thing I think people have a hard time accepting. Oh no, you have to get all the treatment. Oh no, we have to tour the country for these studies. No, maybe we don't. It's the empowerment piece comes in. It's okay to say what you want to say, and what you need. My mom, for example, and even my brother, was old school, right? Well, that's what the doctor said. Well, maybe the doctor's wrong. Your doctor's not in charge. You're in charge. If your doctor is not, on your team per se, right? If he's not a team member, you got the wrong doctor, right? Because it's got to be a team approach. You have to ask those questions you have. And please, anybody that has questions, write them down before you go, because you will not remember.
Yeah.
Keep a journal. I have, my breast cancer journal, the prompting of my husband. He's like, you need a book. I don't need a book. You need, and he's right, because you don't remember. And even my husband being close to it, right? So yeah, I have my breast cancer journal of, dates and appointments and, what have you. I could go back and refer to anything, from before the appointment would be my list of questions. After the appointment would be the answers. If it was blank and I didn't get those answers, I didn't see that doctor again.
Yeah.
Or
if you need to ask again, just because, ask again. Yeah.
Exactly. Or,
I think that's great advice. Patty here is saying amen to that. And Julie's saying, yes, take charge of your own care and ask so many questions. But I interrupted you. What were you?
One answer to a question may lead to more questions. It's okay. Don't ever feel you're taking up that doctor's time. And don't let the doctor make you feel that way either.
Yes.
I asked my brother's oncologist, how do we know the treatment is working? Because let's face it, my brother lived for 6 months. Okay. That's days, right? Yet he was getting radiation and chemotherapy, and he had this Optune cap that he was wearing and all this crazy stuff. And, I said, how do we know the treatment is working? And this doctor turned to me and said, well, the tumor hasn't gotten any bigger, has it? I was like, whoa, who are you talking to? I was like, wow, this is how you talk to patients' families, but, my brother's wife was in denial, and understandably so. I get it. I respected that, and insisted he go for treatment, and try to cure this thing. And, he was going to beat this, and, me trying to explain, no, he's not.
Yeah. It's like you said, it was incurable, but you have the example of John McCain. We all know he was still showing up. He was still going to work.
Exactly.
He chose to live his life in a different way as long as he could in his public service. So now you said, you were talking a little bit about team, and you said you were very fortunate to have a great surgeon. And I know you shared with me your surgeon and some information about him. So I'd like to share that with the group. So tell us a little bit about your surgeon.
Yeah, so Dr. John Williams was referred to me by my primary care physician, as were a couple of others, and I'm sure I saw them all. And Dr. Williams got it. He gave me his time. He answered any questions. He prompted questions, asked things like, how are you feeling? Like, oh, no, I'm fine. No, how are you really feeling? To get to that, what am I not covering, right? Making sure that he did the best thing possible by his patients. He's amazing. Amazing. I still see him once a year because that once you have a mastectomy, that's how it goes. But yeah, he's very passionate. He has restricted his practice to only breast surgery. And he is, and I've been in the medical field, right? I've been in the medical field my entire career. I know a lot of surgeons. He is by far one of the best. And I'm so grateful that I had him on my team.
Yeah, you are very fortunate, and that's really, really wonderful. But he is, as you shared with me, he's quite an educator. So I want to let people know,
Yes.
even if you're not in this area and can't reach out to him directly for any personal needs, I do want to share, just go ahead and type this into Google and you will find him, and he has so much information on his website, and he has lots of little videos that you can watch and just learn, what does it mean to be diagnosed with breast cancer? What's, how, it is so many questions that you might be asking. He has these great little videos. So highly encourage people in the name of education to check that out, whether you've been diagnosed with breast cancer or another type of cancer, or a loved one has, because there's a lot of information there.
And what's so great about Dr. Williams and his, the breast cancer school, and, and I watch them, right? And I here and there, and I still learn something every time I watch one of his videos. He speaks in layman's terms. So he's not like, well, let's talk about the division of cells and surgery. We're not in medical school, right? This is my life, and what does it mean to me? It's awesome. I mean, he's a godsend.
That is really, really wonderful. So now let's talk a little more about smiling and how people can help people smile. So you've pivoted quite a bit, and you're really focusing now on your business, Heal and Deal. Tell us a little bit about that, and tell us a little bit what I put your Facebook site up here so people can check it out. But tell us a little bit about it and what people can find there.
Sure. So my most favorite thing, I love working with those who have been affected by cancer, whether that's the patient or the families, the spouse, the neighbor, the adult child, whomever, who want to learn, how can I really help this person, right? And I always start with, well, tell me a little bit, about your family dynamic and the person who has cancer and what have you, because that helps for me to get them to see what it is that they can do. Like I said, it could be everybody's like, oh, we need to do a meal chain, and yes, that's very important and always appreciated. But it's more than just the meals, right? It's, maybe it's, could you do homework with my 7-year-old twice a week? Could you get my high schooler to baseball practice, or, whatever. Sometimes it's just the little things, or, and you're exhausted, regardless of what your treatment is, you are physically, emotionally spent. So I always recommend the main caregiver not be the spouse or the adult child or whatever. Let it be a neighbor or a friend from church, someone who's close enough but a little bit removed, right? Because they know and they see. And I created care team cards because I always felt really uncomfortable, because I always felt like I was being so ungrateful when I said, no, I don't need anything. Because I'm thinking, well, like, wow, you got 3 kids, you're busy, you got that, you know what I mean? Oh, you started a new job. I was always thinking about them, as most people do, right? They're like, oh no, I'm good. You're not good.
Yeah, you're not good.
You're not good. So this way you have like a care team captain, right? So when someone says that, be like, oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. if you have time, would you be willing to call so-and-so and just hand them the card? And that person knows, right? Like, you don't have to like be responsible for keeping their house clean, or, hey, maybe you could you stop over Saturday morning and mop the kitchen floor? Could you, right? Could you, I don't know, pick up their mail, whatever, right? Pick their preschooler up 3 to, everybody's situation is different. So I find that really helps.
I think that's an awesome suggestion. Finding someone to kind of be your primary care team guide or guidance, and providing them. So they're the ones asking for you to have someone to come help with the child's homework or this or that, because you're not going to ask. And I think that's really, really wonderful, and sharing that. So I know you have a lot of great things on this page. So, and you've expanded it in the time of COVID. So I highly encourage people to check that out.
I have, yeah. So from the writing, I discovered, well, gee, I guess I really am creative. So I started when my husband said, like you mentioned at the beginning, Michelle, it's 2020, everybody needs to smile. Maybe it's, a gift for an empowerment. Maybe it's, I have, shadow boxes and t-shirts, and, and a lot of it, I'm very conscious of my snarky sense of humor, because not everyone appreciates it. But and I'm very direct. So, there's funny and sarcastic, and there's also just caring and, honoring our military, or maybe it's, a Thanksgiving decoration or a holiday decoration, or something that you look at that makes you smile.
I love that. I love that. We all need to smile. We still have 2 months.
Yeah, it's not over yet.
Of this year. It's one of those years, like in dog years, it's been like 7 years instead of
right, exactly. Let's all remember what happened the last time we said, hey, Happy New Year.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I want to share with everybody a little bit, in case they haven't gotten a sense of your humor here, really. So you wrote your own cancer song. Will you share?
Oh, I did.
Will you share the first couple lyrics with us with that? And we're not going to hold you to your operatic voice or anything. So
yeah, because not a professional singer. Cancer came a call and I didn't answer the door. I had enough on my plate. I didn't need any more. I had no lumps and I had no pain, but my mammogram was telling me this wasn't a game. I saw Dr. 1, then I saw Dr. 2, and both of them said, we ain't lying to you. We need to cut it out. Then we'll make you glow. I got another patient now, so I got to go.
Oh my gosh. So if you can't tell how funny she is, I love it. I love it. So if that doesn't make you laugh or put a smile on your face. Well, Eileen, it's really been a pleasure. I think you've shared with us a lot from the heart. You've shared with us a lot of things that we can be thinking about. And we reminded everybody to please go out there and get your breast exams. Do that every year. And even COVID, a lot of people have deferred doctor's appointments. Still important to go do that one in particular.
And excuse me 1 minute, Michelle, please do your self breast exams as well. Just because I didn't have any lumps or symptoms doesn't mean, somebody else doesn't. So that's very important that you continue that monthly.
Very good point. Very good point. So Eileen, as we wrap up here, any other thing you would like to share in closing?
No, I think I'm good. I'm not going to say cancer didn't change me, because it did, but it changed me for the better, I think. My kids might not tell you that, but because I'm still mom, but and I'm that mom. So but yeah, it doesn't have to be a death sentence. Don't let it be.
Yeah. And I think I can see that you're thriving. And I think it's wonderful that you're out there educating and doing everything you can to help other women, and not only women, men too, be aware of things that they can be doing and thinking about. So thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for your message. I want to remind all of our listeners, if you have any further comments or questions, Eileen and I will look at the comments later, and we're happy to answer any questions that anybody has if they need more information. But thank you for joining us, and please tune in again next Sunday. I'll bring another guest to talk about something health and wellness related on Let's Get Distracted. So everybody have a good night, and thanks again, Eileen.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Michelle.
Bye-bye.